we are energy. Our bodies are energy. Our bodies vibrate at different frequencies. So I want to segue to it. I've kind of changed the next chapter to love and energy. I want to focus on the energy first. Now, emotional freedom techniques is something that works that I've used. You saw me up there tapping on my head, tapping on my fingers. Maybe looked a little funny, but hey, I'm good with that. This is really, when we have different emotional type things, when we have traumas in our lives, our energy system is blocked. One thing that science is starting to show more, we're learning that we have this energy system. Our energy system, maybe that is our spirit. I want to talk a little bit, with my dad about emotional freedom technique and how that opens up, how that's one thing to open up our energy system and how to release some of these blockages. Dad, just tell us briefly a little bit about, maybe a story, how maybe you've helped some people open up their energy system, or just tell us a little bit about that.
For those folks that aren't familiar with EFT, it's an energy-based, what they call an energy-based type medicine. Specifically, it's called energy psychology. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a healthcare professional, I'm not a doctor. Energy psychology is not what I think I am. What I am is a guide. In life, from the time of conception to we're about 7 years old, those are the formative years. Everything that we've been taught, experienced, and observed during that period, we bury into our subconscious, good, bad, or indifferent. The problem is, where do we learn who we are? Who are you? Are you your mother, your father? Who are you? You're not you. See, think about that. Say, oh my God, I become my father. Oh my God, I become my mother. You're not you. You're not your true self. The thing is, get back to who you are. The energy does flow through us. Take a second. Just take your fingers and rub them over the back of your hand. Just move it like this. Just do this. What do you feel? Anybody? What do you feel? Just move it over your back of your hand. What are you feeling? Be aware. What are you feeling? I'm sorry? Okay, what else? Anything else? Soothing. Okay, soothing. Does it tingle? Yeah? Does it tingle? This is a feeling. This is energy that you're feeling. When you get that tingling sensation, you become imbalanced. Think about a song that makes you feel good and tingle all over. How do you feel? Are you worried about anything? Are you concerned? Are you frustrated? No, you feel good. And the thing is, you have to start loving yourself. I found when I did workshops and support groups for terminal people do not have any place to go because medicine turns you out until we don't want to see you again because they can't do anything. So I started a support group for 5 years, and I had nothing but terminal people. I wouldn't take anybody else because they had no place to go. But when we learn how to visualize, when we learn how to use guided imagery, when we learn how to meditate, we start changing our lives. See, when you change your life, your body will change. Get rid of the emotional garbage, that subtle energy that gets us in trouble. You see? It's very subtle. It's like the tingling, okay? But every negative thought that we have blocks that energy in muscle groups. It's all stress. The thing is, we have muscle memory, we have cellular memory. We have to get rid of it. If it's in negative, it has to be done. Otherwise, unfortunately, we do have recurrences. We do have all kinds of things. So love yourself first, and then give the rest away.
I think when he's talking about the energy, and we're talking about these energy blockages, and Phyllis said he had mentioned negative thoughts. Phyllis had mentioned earlier how this all ties in. A negative thought is not a problem until there's that emotion behind it. A negative event, depending on our perception, is not an issue unless there is emotion behind it, and then that transfers into our cells, that blocks our energy, and this is one way. He'll talk to you more about that later if you're interested. He has a class coming up here at Esteem, and we can get more into that when we have more time. Let's just talk quickly love. I'm wearing this shirt that I think I already said Megan gave that to me, so I'll probably say that many times. I'm very, very thankful. And just that love. Last week when I went to the yoga studio, I arrived. My friend Paul Knobloch invited me. I had no expectations. I'll meet some people that have supported the project and, just have a good time. This was one of the most amazing experiences. I get there, I meet Robin, the proprietor, for the first time, and who's just an amazing woman, and she's holding a raffle for the project, and I'm beaming. And so that love, that upped my energy level, and then for days, I was just kind of surfing on that, and, even though I was putting a lot of work in this project alone, which has always been an issue for me, that is something that kind of carried me over. Briefly, let's just talk about how love, carries over, and especially how children, it's very important at that time to feel loved. Does anybody, want to comment quickly, Amy?
Just briefly, I have done so much awareness and deep intercellular work around being adopted. And that issue, I created so many stories around that, from like being rejected by my creator and not having value and not having worth. And I can look at the patterns that deep cellular belief, how it manifested. I was very loving on the outside. Nobody would have guessed that I had this really deep melancholy on the inside. And it wasn't until I was really going back into myself and loving myself in ways and on levels I never even imagined, because you can't imagine that kind of love connection, because imagining comes from your mind. This is a deep cellular feeling, emotional connection that I developed for myself. And that is our word love has so many meanings. There's as many meanings for love as there are people in this room. So it's a general concept, but the depth to which it can actually help promote these cellular repatternings is only something that can truly be experienced. It is not something that can be intellectualized, labeled, or categorized in any kind of therapies. It is such a personal experience that is profound, and it is beyond words.
Nice. At that point, I'm going to open it up back to questions. We can talk a little bit more about this, but does anybody have any questions or comments? I think this is, on anything that we've talked about in the past few minutes. Anybody? Phyllis, go ahead.
Something we haven't mentioned is how to go about loving. And you can't love if you haven't forgiven.
Very great point.
And forgiveness is not what people think it is. Most of you think that forgiveness is letting somebody off the hook for something ugly that they did, but it isn't. Forgiveness is emotional detachment. It is pulling the emotional plug out of that event or that person. It's not being attached to whatever it was that happened any longer. And I've worked out a process to do this. I teach a meditation that I call the forgiveness meditation. And actually it came out of something that Royal Satterley, Royal, I'm talking about you. It's something he said to me years ago, one-liner, when I was going through a very difficult time, and I talked with him, and he said, "How is that person serving you?" And I got angry. What? This person's threatening my life, and you're telling me he's serving me? And then I started to thinking about it, and I started journaling to the answer to that question. How has this person served me? And you'll be amazed at what you're learning from every person that has crossed your path that has treated you horrible. You're learning, you're getting something from it. And when you start to realize and begin to transform that person from your adversary to your teacher, you're then and only then ready to forgive. You can't do it if you're thinking you've got an adversary. And you can't love entirely until you get the forgiveness process done. And so if anybody wants to learn about the meditation, I'll be happy to share it with you because, I'm taking up too much time. But
No, you're great.
anyway,
That was a
it's-
great point. I'm glad you shared that.
To add something
And
quickly.
Amy, real quick, Jen, I'll let you go. Amy, get ready for if you'll give us a little more music, and then while we're finishing up, and I think we'll skip to our last topic, and then we'll get moving. Go ahead, Jen.
And let go of that saying forgive and forget, because the forget part implies that you're going to leave yourself open to more pain. So you want to forgive. You can forgive and remember. I can wish somebody who's hurt me all the best in the world and completely forgive them without forgetting and remembering to.
you have to
from
disempower
it.
the memory
Yes,
so that you could have the memory, but it has no effect on you any longer.
right.
Yeah. In other words, you
Well, it may have an effect in that you may want to avoid falling into the trap of being hurt by that person again.